The newest Minecraft update has been announced, and hold on. Yes, I know I'm late, but I think people are missing something important about the new spawner, and especially the autocrafter. Because has anyone thought about how these things will be implemented? As talked about in my previous Minecraft video, they have issues with their engine causing absolutely tanking performance. So my question is, has anyone thought about what this could do to servers? Firstly, let's go over what the new update brings to the table. Starting off with the biggest thing, for me personally, the crafter. Clearly, after watching the Yogscast's original Tekkit Classic playthrough, they were inspired to add this auto crafter from Industrial Craft to the game. After 11 years. Man, I'm so old. The crafter will enable players to craft items via a redstone signal, with it injecting the pre-crafted item with every pulse it gets, and likely causing every server to start a small house fire. But we'll get back to that later. It finally adds some more uses for copper, like a door, a trapdoor, a lamp that will show less and less light depending on how rusted it is, which is very cool for atmospheric builds, if I'm honest. Like, horror map creators will be very happy with this, and I really like this. And as promised, they are adding the armadillo. While I wanted the crab to win, I'm actually glad it won, as a mob that can turn into a block is actually a pretty cool idea. But the crab people will have their revenge, and I, for one, welcome our crustacean overlords. Please just release my family. And then the finest, biggest change? The new dungeon type. The trial chamber, made out of chiseled copper, and the new hostile mob, the breeze, with an attack that knocks the player back and trigger redstone related blocks, which is gonna be so funny to make traps with. It also has its unique spawner, which detects the amount of players in a room and spawns an according amount of mobs. Honestly, all these new additions give a great foundation to the game for map creators. With the new changes to the data pack API under the hood as well, this update is going to be geared towards success, and I'm really excited for it. But it doesn't have any possible downsides, right? Well, here's the thing about that. It's no secret that a server has a few kryptonites that bring it down. Redstone is one such a thing, and that combined with a lot of entities create a lot of lag on most servers. So imagine my reaction when they decided to combine the two into a single update. The crafter in particular gives me the most worry, as it not only spits out entities, but it does so when powered by a redstone signal. Just imagine the amount of lag you can make by having a few of these pumping out wooden planks from logs until the entire screen is just a floating sea of entities on the floor, crawling the whole server to a halt. My guess is that, like the Villagers and Pillagers update, a lot of servers will limit the crafter in some way or another, with likely paper or more likely purple allowing its crafting rate to be adjusted to a more manageable level. But at that point, a lot of people criticize it from not feeling like vanilla anymore. And servers will likely continue to limit this until they figure out a way to run it without asking too much from the server itself. This will likely come into the form of paper making it async or something along those lines. Though, to be honest, I'm actually interested to see what trolls and lag machine artists can come up with. Hey, by the way, slight deviation. Am I the only one who thinks this update is heavily influenced by the success of the mod Create? I mean, they're adding auto crafting, a whole new copper dungeon, while Create uses a lot of copper in their aesthetic. It's called the Tinker's update, etc. Because this crafter feels like a very light version of what you can do in Create, which I'm actually planning to cover real soon. When I brought this up to Drowned, the person making the background footage here, he just said it was out of spite. You know what? He's kinda right, I think. Now let's move on to my second concern about server performance. The player-based spawner. Likely it tries to get the amount of players in an area by checking the amount of players in a chunk, or in its radius around it, and then does some calculations to determine the amount of mobs to spawn, adding a lot of computational power to a thing that is already causing issues. See, normal spawners are already heavily nerfed in most big survival servers, and it's mostly used to create mob grinders for XP generation, locking a lot of entities in one spot, making the entire chunk guzzle more power than a Ford Mustang guzzle gas. Again, I think this could be a good or a bad thing, because if later down the line we get the option to turn that feature on or off on a lot of the other spawners, it could be a nice self-limiter to a long existing server issue. On the other hand, get 5 bots to stand into a room with you, and this could potentially lag out the entire server with just one block. Now, to be clear, this is just speculation from my own experience. in the server hosting world, and just some good old common sense with the last few updates. And let me stress this is a good update. It's not too big, it's also not too small. The scope is just right. And it would be cool to receive these kinds of updates yearly with some cool new stuff and additions that makes me want to play again. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna binge the MoonQuest series again because I'm a sucker for nostalgia. So for now, I was Lunar, you were awesome, and we'll see you in the next one. I'd like to thank my lovely patrons for their financial support as always, with especially my boulders, Willox, Rebecca, Joyens, Farron, and our newest member, Walper. Truly a Walper moment. And who could forget my lovely mountain supporters, Comet Speed, Hans Franz, and Milhouse for the continued support. If you like what I do and want to play on our new community server and get access to all interviews, feel free to pledge on Patreon. Thanks again, lads. Also, before we end, thank you so much for the support on the Vintage Story video. Game reviews like those are likely to happen more often as I enjoyed making them, so stay tuned. See you in the next one.